Today, guys, we're discussing and looking at the duology. I guess there's more of them, but we're looking at the first two Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. My name's Alec.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Sam Slade.
And today's Garbage Day.
Welcome to Garbage Day.
Today's Garbage Day?
So today...
New videos every single Garbage Day.
Oh, there is in here. Wow, what did you get me this Garbage Day? Kevin, you got me Silent Night, Deadly Night, part 1.
I sure did.
This is some beautiful box art.
Well, what does it say?
It says Silent Night.
Our namesake.
Every Garbage Day, we're gonna pull a new movie out of the garbage can.
And then at the end of the video, we decide whether it goes back into the garbage can or
If it goes
Wow, what a gimmick.
to charity.
It goes on the shelf.
on the shelf.
It goes on the shelf.
Maybe we just install a shelf up here.
There you go.
Just put them in a stack in the corner.
You guys ever heard of a show called Best of the Worst?
I was gonna say,
I was gonna say
It's different.
it's not.
It's different. It's different.
We have a garbage can because that's the name of the channel. Okay.
Garbage Day should really be the title for Best of the Worst. We should just rename the show.
Oh God. So, in a lot of bad movie circles, I feel like Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 gets a lot of attention. You know, it's a classic.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways.
A lot of people have seen the second one, not the first one.
And a lot of people talk about I had only seen the second one before
Same.
this week, but today we're going to be talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1 and 2. So Sam Slade having the longest experience with the Silent
I
Night.
saw the second one in high school, like I saw it for real, which the funny thing is if you've seen the second one, you've seen the first one
That is
in its
true.
entirety.
When Sam Slade recommended it, I said, all right, I definitely want to see Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. I refuse to not watch Part 1, though. And I will say it is the better experience.
I'm not gonna necessarily agree with
I
that
don't know.
one.
It's the better experience?
Yeah, because then if you watch 2, then it's like it feels more like ass watching 1. If you watch 1, then at least you're seeing it for the first goddamn time.
That is true. 2 is just so perfect, and the fact that it ruins 1 is part of what makes it so
Yes.
funny.
Yes.
And you're like, I get it. Like, I don't...
They ruin each other, really. My main emotion through it and after it was anger. The subject matter itself is like super frustrating. Like I found myself like weirdly, being annoyed with myself with relating with the main character so much, because like the main character, like he's just like clearly has this case by case like super serious like trauma.
Yeah.
And everyone is like, no, I'm gonna make it worse. I'm gonna make it worse. And his whole life is just like, I want you to be a serial killer, and then he becomes a serial killer, and you're like, yeah, obviously that's gonna happen. Oh, you have trouble? I'm just gonna make it worse and hit you. I'm just gonna keep hitting you until you stop. There's like a lot of stuff surrounding Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 that's like weirdly stupid. Did you guys know it was banned when it came out?
Yes,
It
yes.
was only in theaters for like a week or
So
two.
it was straight up banned
then it was
because
banned,
a bunch
like,
of mothers
immediately.
were like, "Oh my gosh,
Santa Claus could never
they
kill
can't
people."
Make Santa Claus the bad guy. Kids will hate it, and they'll think Santa Claus is the bad guy."
The poster especially is what got a lot of attention because it has Santa Claus going down the chimney with an axe.
It's one of the
That's a great
stupidest things. It's a
poster.
great poster.
Honestly, that's one of the best parts of the movie is that
Stupid
that
one
kick-ass
because
poster.
Santa Claus isn't real, and two, if your kid is young enough to believe in Santa, he's not watching. Don't let him watch Silent Night, Deadly Night 1.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
All the
Period.
teenagers that went to go see this movie or whatever, they don't believe in
don't
Santa.
believe
Like,
in
oh my
If
gosh, he's
they still
ruined.
believe in Santa. They have way bigger
Yeah,
problems than
seriously.
seeing this movie.
Also, to be fair, this movie does not disprove that Santa does not exist.
No, the guy at the beginning is a real Santa. In canon.
The
The Santa.
Oh, well then he's definitely real. It confirms he's real.
disagreeing with you, I kind of liked how they kept doing the abuse thing where I'm like,
Well,
okay,
no, I liked that as an aspect. It was just, but I was like I was upset. It was like, that was the emotion. It wasn't like, oh, this is cool, fun. It was like, I was like, I hope all these people die.
No, I wasn't like, oh man, this is cool. I love all these great ideas of how they're abusing her. I'm like, okay, I'm following.
It makes it natural. It does make it natural for
It
me.
felt very.
But it also makes it awkward to watch. It makes it like,
You don't want to enable a serial killer.
Yeah,
but you
exactly.
agree with the serial killer.
yeah.
It
Weird.
was. I don't want to say grounded, but it was relatively grounded for a slasher villain where you're like, okay, I understand why he's killing people. I understand why he has these problems, why he gets to that point.
They set it up real well.
I was kind of bored. A lot of the kills weren't very interesting to me.
They're pretty terrible, actually.
I would say
There's two kills I liked.
That is one of the things that I think it's interesting, but I also think it hurts the movie. Like, to me, the slasher is at no point ever scary. Because once it's like, it's like, yeah, I understand where this came from. But in the movie, at no point is like...
And especially if you've seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, you're like, Oh yeah, okay. Well, not only is it like not that interesting, I know where it's going.
Yes.
The slasher is the main character.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's not
that
the
is
main
interesting.
character the slasher happens to. The slasher is the main killer.
Yeah.
That
main
is
character.
very
Yes.
unusual.
I thought it was kind of dull overall, but it had some interesting ideas.
More boring version of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
I was gonna get into that when we talk about the sequel.
Even though I didn't really like it, I'm like weirdly like vibing with a lot of it. I'm like, there's a lot of it that works in its own weird way. Like I was like, this could be a great remake because conceptually a lot of it could work in a movie if they did it differently.
Yeah, honestly, the build-up to him becoming a slasher is better than just the slasher stuff. Like that part of the movie works
Yeah.
for me, but the rest of it's
If they
kind of
treat
just
him like a tormented soul,
yeah.
where it's like
if it was played by a better actor,
and then the ending and the
and
end,
not 8 different actors also.
and then the ending was like insane, like brutal climax instead of like
Yes.
oh, and then we're just gonna awkwardly turn it into a standard slasher movie and just keep introducing
the
characters and then immediately kill them off.
When he's talking to the little girl, and it's
Right.
like he gives her a gift because he thinks he is Santa at that point.
Right.
If you play with that, where it's like, oh, the kid's at the orphanage, where he has kind of like a weird, like he's psychotic, but he also like
Yeah.
has a weird connection with them.
I was kind of joking that like I have like 30 seconds worth of things to say about the movie. For me, it was just kind of like, yeah, I've seen better slashers. I like what they did with, and also I've seen this movie already. like you know, it just
Proof's in the pudding, dude.
It very much felt like I was worried going into it, thinking I've already seen this movie. I'm just going to be bored to tears because when I watched the second one, all that stuff is the stuff that interested me the least. And so going into it, I was like, I'm going to not enjoy this. And for me, it was just like, it was fine. It wasn't the worst slasher that I've seen.
Billy, what's wrong? Your brother's in that case, that's what's wrong.
I'm just like, oh my god.
What a great,
That's
positive environment for this orphanage.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy. It was funny every time he said punish. Punished. The police shot an innocent
I was
deaf
going to bring
priest
that up
dressed as
actually.
Santa Claus.
What's funny about that to me is that cop shows no remorse for what he did.
No.
He shot that innocent man, innocent
blast
deaf
him away.
man in the back.
Not just
and he does
innocent
not
deaf
care.
priest who was on his way to the orphanage.
Like literally, she's like,
Get out of it! Get away from it!
It's Father O'Brien. He was our Santa this year.
Barnes wanted the guy to stop, Captain. He didn't respond.
Of course not. He's deaf. He couldn't hear it.
I don't think it succeeds at a single thing that it
No,
tries to
it does
do.
not.
no.
No.
Like it's like, all right, it tries this abuse thing, and that could have been really good if they had a really strong performance in that lead. But the
And it
guy
has a good poignant ending.
and
It
it's like,
says something. at the end.
how the system can really abuse and like you know the system is what's perpetuating this
Yeah,
this
the
bad
ending is
behavior.
terrible. What the heck? You didn't kill the nun lady? The worst character? You didn't kill the bad guy? What?
Let's hope that
Also,
our,
you kill the nun lady in front of all the kids, and then they're all traumatized of Santa Claus, and then it's like perpetuating
You're
abuse. And
perpetuating
it's like,
the
there you
abuse.
go, that's your cool
That's
ending.
a cool ending. yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, they had a lot of neat ideas, very poor execution. There's 2 kills I liked. Most of the kills are boring.
I agree.
He carries around that axe for like an hour, he doesn't use it once.
The body's just still sledding.
I think it was BS that he killed that lady with a bow and arrow. That lady should have lived. She did everything right. She tricked him. She should have gotten away.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, I guess I got a bow and arrow now. Like,
You gotta have rules.
and
in
their
the
excuse is it's a toy shop, but it's like a real bow and arrow that you could kill someone easily with.
The toy shop. So my favorite thing in that toy shop is like the first scene where he's like standing in front of a shelf. There is a Kroll board game right behind him, center framed, and I just couldn't take my focus away from it.
Oh, I was gonna.
course.
I was
We
gonna,
all couldn't.
Kroll, the one where they have like the spinning disc. You've never seen that? Cut to image of the poster.
Kevin and Keegan are gonna get their own Kroll video.
Yeah,
where they get to talk about Kroll.
I don't want to be a part of most of it.
We move on by either throwing it away or putting
All
it
right.
on
Well,
the shelf.
how do we pick now?
That's for sure going in the trash.
Fuck that movie.
I
That,
just-
that was going in the trash, right? Like,
Yeah,
it
that
was,
was
no
for
one,
sure going
you
in
can
the
make an
trash.
appeal.
And maybe
I'm gonna
they
make
killed
I'm
the
gonna make
nun.
up a new rule. You can make an appeal for it to get people out of the trash, but it has to be convincing, and it has to convince the person that threw it in the
Filibuster.
trash.
Honestly, no. It's fine.
Okay.
No, it belongs there.
All right. So does someone want to open up the garbage can and find out what garbage Santa brought us? What do we got in here?
Oh shoot. We got Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2.
Who could have predicted?
Wow.
Whoa.
Kevin.
There it is.
I love how like his face just changes like so rapidly in most of these scenes.
he's like,
I fucking love this movie. There's a sequence in this film that lasts for about 10 minutes. We'll get to it, but it is fucking cinema gold.
it is one of the single greatest stretch of sequence
it also
in
has-
all of cinema.
It also has one of the most terrifying stunts.
The car was supposed to go up it and like flip off, like it was supposed to like go up the dirt pile, but it literally just only went off a little bit and then just narrowly hit, like it got like this close to him,
Like, it's
because it was a
literally-
complete accident.
It's literally under 6 inches.
This is also horribly edited. He pulls up the gun, and then there's like 4 different angles of him holding the gun up. It cuts
him
like
back,
that.
him
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Garbage day! Huh? No!
They could have like 4 cuts in one gunshot.
This is really pioneering a technique that we've come to really be a fan of in editing as editors, and that is method editing. So you've heard of method acting. and
Method directing.
Method directing. Method editing is an even more avant-garde style of art making.
Where you really let the
Very
characters take over
The
the editing
editing.
process.
Yes.
You are just a vessel.
You have no idea going in what's gonna come out the other side.
It's also called drunk editing.
No.
that's
Why
just
would
editing.
you think that?
I don't know whether that actor, like stunt guy actor, if it was the main actor, if it was a stunt guy,
I don't know either.
I don't know if he's just so dedicated to the craft that he was like, I'm not moving, or if he just was genuinely like taken like off track and like
I
was
think
like,
he was
holy
taken
crap,
by
did I almost
surprise.
die?
The most dedicated actor.
And he was like,
ever graced
I will
the
not
screen.
move.
Eric Freeman, the guy that plays
Eric Freeman.
Ricky in this
The
movie.
greatest actor.
It is shocking that he has not been hunted down by people like us yet to like
Let's
be
do it.
in
I-
more-
calm down.
I don't know. I'm sure he's popped up here and there.
His passion and his energy is what drives that movie. He's got the spirit. He doesn't necessarily have the best chop. He's kind of a little all over the place, and his line delivery is very psychotic.
You really want to know?
Who, Ricky? Who did it?
Santa Claus.
That aspect of it helps a lot because it's like, I don't know if it's intentional or if it's like he's just a bad actor, but it's like adding to it because he's just got such fierce energy into it.
Yeah.
And so when he delivers lines so poorly, you're like, I guess that could be a choice.
If you haven't seen it and you had seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 1, fun fact, they're the same film, essentially. But Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 does this really, really cool thing where it's like, hey, we have this movie. It's so transparent what the studio was thinking when they put the movie
It's a
together.
complete scam.
They were like, we want to make a second movie, but we only want to film about 15 to 20, maybe 30 minutes of new content.
It was supposed to be like 15.
Well, yeah. Funny enough, yeah, the studio wanted like even less. Like the studio was just
And-
like, we literally do not care. The director is why you have the movie you have today, because he was like, we really should shoot more than that though.
They will know they already
Please.
know it's a scam.
They were like, just take the first movie and put it in. He's just like, oh my god.
It's like a 45-minute movie. Otherwise,
It's very transparent what the studio did. They wanted to literally just cash in on the same movie again. That it's completely reused footage and scenes. Like it's not like new.
they play full on like
Full-on
5 to 10 minute
segments
sequences
from the
from the
film.
first one. Yeah.
The only thing they've added is they're interviewing Ricky, the little brother that is kind of
Interviewing. He says a few things.
Who was there?
who was there.
I was there.
He observed all the moments. So
Even when he was a baby.
Even when he was a baby.
was there.
Even when he wasn't in the room with his brother, he was
Yes.
he was able to describe.
Actually, most of the movie he wasn't in the room.
His brother told him, which is how he knows.
Right. And
Before
so
he was shot by the cops?
Yes.
In order to try to convince you that it's a new movie, they film these segments where they're interviewing Ricky about what happened because he was there.
Loosely, somehow he has the same trauma.
Somehow. They will cut to things that happened in the first movie that only happened to his brother and be like, and it was just as bad for me.
I was also affected by it. I have a Santa Claus thing. I can buy like he becomes crazy and wants to kill people, but not I'm crazy and want to kill people as Santa Claus.
Yes.
Yes.
This movie on paper should have been just as boring and bad, if not worse than the first movie. And it is completely saved by the performance of the guy that plays Ricky.
His energy and his drive in the role is perfect. It's his line delivery that's bad.
Yes.
Like he's actually performing really well and his face is doing a really good job. It's just every line he delivers is so terrible.
Amazing. And you say terrible. What do you
You need perfect.
Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, or Killer Not Dressed as Santa versus Naughty People in Red Cars. Because every car that he destroys and goes after is red.
His trauma isn't just Santa, it's red. Because he sees the red cloth and he freaks out.
He sees the red cloth with the umbrella kill.
Yeah,
It's true.
There's red
That's right.
involved in each kill.
color palette? This movie is genius.
There's a scene in the movie that actually sets it up.
Red car. Good point.
And then I kept seeing the red cars and I was like, oh my gosh, that wasn't a joke. It keeps happening.
My least favorite parts of this movie are still the parts that are the first movie.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, of course.
They are the most boring.
While I think that this is way better than like as a watch than the first movie, it's still held down by
You
that
should
first
never
movie.
have to. You should never watch the first movie because the second one exists, and it literally it's. I don't know what they cut out. they had to have because the runtime would have been longer, but they. I don't think they cut out anything.
No, they did.
I watched it back to back. I don't know what they cut out from the first one.
They cut out some of the scenes of him working at the store.
No, they did. They literally cut out like the big thing they cut is like he got the job and then he starts killing people.
He gets adopted by the Rosenbergs.
That also was funny to me because the orphanage, they were just like, oh my gosh, how do we deal with this? Just let him like have this Jewish family adopted. That'll solve it. There won't be any Christmas in his life. We'll just ignore it.
I mean, that's a pretty clever idea.
That's a pretty clever idea. They should have had more of the movie be about that.
If the movie was more satirical,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most boring part of the movie, but when you've seen the first movie already, the tediousness is part of just what makes that first half so hysterical, especially when you've already seen it. Like if you go from that one to that one, you're just like, oh my god, it's this, I just watched it. It's happening again.
One of the times they cut to him, he just goes, Billy! to the other movie.
yes.
You mentioned it felt like a cash grab. Where
Yes.
they're just trying to recycle footage.
I would say scam. Let's say scam.
Well, no, the reason they did that is because the first one got pulled from the theaters. They were basically like, we
They're
lost
trying to-
all this money. We filmed an entire movie. We couldn't show it in theaters. We lost almost all the money because it was only open for a week. And so they said, let's just take the entire movie, change just enough that we can get it out in
Cut out
theaters.
some of the parts that people really have problems with.
Basically do a minor re-edit,
Yeah.
add in some new dialogue, 15 minutes of new footage,
Yeah.
put it back in theaters, get our money back. And then the director was like, cool, I'm not directing 15 new minutes.
Yeah.
I am directing a lot more.
I'm an artist.
So we had the artist create a wonderful masterpiece.
That man saved this film.
Yeah, if you just want 15 minutes, hire Robert Zemeckis or something. I'm an artist.
An actor who is determined to say every line in the script.
I would love to actually own a copy of the script of this film. Like I'd love to know how much.
It's probably 12 pages.
And then we cut to the
It's
first
in
film.
crayon.
And then we cut to the first film. It doesn't actually
Yeah,
specify.
well, that's kind of why I want to. I'd love to know how it's structured. Like, did they just write out the new stuff and then go through that, or did they actually pace out in the script when they cut back to the original film?
I could easily see it being they just had like that whole therapist scene, like they just hashed it out while they were filming it. Because they know that that scene is just going to be that.
Cash grab aside, is there a way you do this premise well?
They did it.
I did think about that, actually. I was like,
You'd have to recontextualize the first movie.
one, you'd have to recontextualize, but I think you would also have to pace it out better. Like, first of all, make your movie extremely short.
The first act where they are going through that whole first movie, it is so slow.
They kind of wasted your time with what they explained because you already saw that if you've seen the first film. and it's boring in the first film, and it's all set up to allegedly build tension, but you know where it goes, so it's not leading to tension, it's leading to you being really bored. So that's where more of the new stuff should have been put in, where they're trying to...
I will argue it is impossible to do this idea well. Because the idea is you're recycling footage.
Yeah.
So here's the
With
thing.
minimal-
I think the only way you could do it is changing the fundamental. Like, you have to shoot.
What you'd have to do is, Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 would have to be better. It would have to have that ending, like that sort of like change in tone in the ending where it's like the continuation of trauma, where the next film could bleed into that, where it actually feels natural. It doesn't just feel like, okay, cool, he's describing all this stuff and he's also crazy. You know, it would have to feel more like, this makes like a natural
reference. You'd have to do what like Ender's Shadow does to Ender's Game. Like it'd have to be a complete redo where it's like you are telling the same story, but it's from another character's perspective, and you're literally changing things to show that.
And another thing you have to change with the first one is, well, I mean, if you're going back to back like that, you would have to like have it be setups in the first one with that character.
Yes.
That pay off in the next movie where it's like,
Like,
oh yeah,
they leave things open-ended.
They leave
where
things open, or they leave things like for you to be like to see his side of it instead of just being like, I saw the movie.
He
you
should
saw.
have been an actual character in the first one.
Yes.
First off.
Yes. So to answer your question, no. This movie also has great kills. Like, there's not a bad kill in this movie.
Honestly, there is not. This movie brings the kills.
I love when he just runs over that.
I was gonna say
He runs him over like 8 times.
I was gonna say,
And it's just like, thank
So
you.
fucking funny.
Thank you for doing that.
the umbrella
terrific.
kill.
The umbrella kill is... Chef's kiss. I think this movie is genuinely designed to be the greatest film ever made. He's a slasher, right? And like all the other slashers, he just uses what's at his disposal. A cop gets him, he kills the cop, I'll take the gun. He just starts shooting people, even though you know it doesn't become a horror movie anymore when you just start shooting random people.
That is my favorite slasher weapon.
That's the beauty of it, is that favorite slasher weapon, the gun from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
It's the most iconic.
It's very iconic. It's very iconic.
And as a slasher weapon, I love the idea of a gun because it's so stupid and defeats the entire purpose of a slasher.
It also, but it allows him to kill anybody he wants.
Yeah,
instantly.
He realized, like, this is what they've been missing.
And it's also just, it's funny because of the slasher genre. Like, so many slashers are afraid of using a gun, so it's just like, when it's used, it's just like, oh, that's just funny and unexpected.
Because it takes attention away.
Yes.
With a knife or a machete, you can run away, you can try to escape, they have to chase after you and get you. With a gun, they shoot you in the back.
Ricky Caldwell is a pioneer. The funny thing is, they actually have different names. In the first one, it is Chapman is their names. In this one, for no reason, it is Caldwell. Well, because in that moment, he is suicidal. And the cops are so afraid for him that they don't want him to kill himself, that they beg him to not kill himself.
That's a setup payoff from the first one, because the first one, the cops show up, they don't care, they shoot people in the back, they don't care at all. They've learned their lesson. They beg the guy to not shoot any more people for the longest time before they actually shoot him.
Don't do it! No! It's not worth it! Don't be a fool! Don't do it! Don't kill yourself!
No more bullets.
It's just a great bad movie. Like, if you're into bad movies,
It is one of my personal favorite.
we're going to be talking about them a
great.
lot on this here channel. One of the most quotable, for sure. Like, it's,
Literally, the second time made it higher on my list.
This, to me, has just proven that I'm right. What I told Kevin years ago when Kevin was like, I want to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, but everyone was like, I'm not going to watch it without 1. I was like, literally don't do that, because you watch 1 in Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
And I said, are you my dad?
He's this violent criminal, and you don't really know how violent he is at the start. You're kind of like hearing his story, and you find out that he's killed a bunch of people. Why isn't he handcuffed or anything?
And then he just walks out of there.
my impression when the movie
he's loose.
first started was not that he was violent. Like, when I was watching, I was like, oh, this is just a tormented person. I thought it was going to be,
Yeah. You don't know that at first, but then once you find out what he's in there for blowing up a car and electrocuting a guy's eyes
killing
out and
several
shooting a cop
people
in the
within
head,
30
running
minutes.
over a guy. The funny thing is that the psychiatrist did not know about the other guy that he ran over. And so
He
when
didn't know
says
about any of the murders
he's
that
just like,
were before the
well,
electrical
now that
stuff.
it's 9 murders instead of 7, that makes it scarier.
What in the hell? I see no mention of these 2 incidents in my notes.
Oh
What
my
am I
gosh, we
doing
should have
with
handcuffed him.
Well, you didn't think covered a lot of ground today.
I was gonna let him get away with it.
Much more than I
Did you,
had
Doc?
anticipated.
I think both of these movies are hurt by being Christmas movies. Like, I think that one is bogged down because it's trying too many things. Like, it's trying to be this Christmas slasher, and it's also trying to be this, like, commentary on mental health and the system around mental health and orphans and how, the system can break a person down.
You can make your trauma way worse.
Make your trauma way worse. Not cause violent tendencies, but amplify any violent tendencies that you might have had before that. So it's trying to do that, and it's also trying to be a stupid Christmas slasher.
But yeah,
and like
it's-
those two things contradict
It's trying
too
to make
much.
you jump through hoops, kind of, because it's like the surrounding characters are like, oh, the spookiest night of the year is Christmas Eve. And you're like, is it? And then they're like, it is because Santa, this one guy dressed up as Santa and he killed people.
When you get Mother Superior in part 2,
Yes.
They say, oh, she had a stroke in that time. Apparently, having a stroke means you become the Phantom of the Opera.
I was like, what the heck happened?
Like, did someone throw acid on her face? Because I don't want a stroke if that's what it means. Her tumble down the stairs when he hits the wheelchair, and she just full-blown barrel rolls down the stairs.
That
looks
got
so
me to
funny.
bust up. That was
like,
great.
Oh my gosh.
This movie tries to atone for the first movie's sins, and it realized what the ending of the first movie should have
Yes.
been.
I was watching the ending, and like they were stringing out this nun lady, the like Mother Superior character's death, where I was like, to the point where I was like, this bitch is gonna live again. She's gonna come back in the third one.
I would literally lose my fucking mind.
I literally
if
was
the
like,
same ending happened
I was like,
again.
if that happens again, I'm going to have to
They
watch
should
the third one.
reuse the same footage from one.
But she died, and I was like, cool. I don't need to watch the
I had a
third one.
third brother.
I had a third.
My mom was
she got
No,
pregnant.
dude, the third one is the little girl that gets the X-Acto knife from the first one, and
That
she
would
was
be
there.
badass.
She was there. She's got trauma
She
because her
was
babysitter
there.
was killed by Santa Claus.
And they show that entire scene again in
And then the rest of
that-
2.
And they just show all of 2.
I'm a completionist, so I would still watch 1 personally, but I would not recommend it to another human being. Watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
If you're a casual, please just watch.
Well, don't call me a casual.
I am a casual.
There's nothing casual about me.
You're halfway between Sam Slade.
Still gonna end up watching it for fucking next year's video, you fucks.
Just watch 2. It's a better movie than 1, and you're gonna watch all of 1 anyways.
Unless you guys have any pleas, this is absolutely going to be the first movie on our shelf. Close the garbage can.
Yeah, get that.
No more garbage today. Today we have.
Thank you guys for watching this first episode of Garbage Day. This probably won't be the format that most of the videos on this channel are.
Expect weird stuff.
We
Expect weird stuff.
We just wanted to get the ball rolling.
This
Just
channel
something
is
fairly
for
easy.
experimentations. Like, the goal with it is to
This
do weird
channel is
things.
for Kevin and Keegan to let out their weird, gross, nerd.
Well, you guys say that, but my explanation of the entire Halo saga is coming too.
And weird to keep them in check.
subscribe. That's another thing we're
subscribe.
doing is
Like-
I'm going to ask you to subscribe.
And if you have movies that you think might be interesting for us to review, to watch, and talk about, please put them in the
Honestly,
comment section.
recommend. We're open to
Yeah.
ideas. We're in an experimental phase right now, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Gay porn, whatever.
We're in that phase. We're just gonna.
Well, we don't need that recommended to us.
Garbage Day!